Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please subscribe if you haven't. So right now we got to give Russell Westbrook his flowers. Russ against the Miami Heat, the previous game the Clippers played, Russ actually moved up to number 25 on the all-time scoring list. Now, this is a guy who never really had a jump shot, a guy who predicated his whole career 99%, I would say, off of athleticism. And he also is a triple-double king. Along with being an MVP and scoring titles, I believe, as well. And Russ is just a very decorated, superstar caliber type player. And Russ is always going to be revered as a superstar just because of all that he's done individually. And he has been to an NBA finals in his career. So he hasn't, went through all these many years without making an appearance in the finals, which is very impressive. At the time, he was with OKC with KD and actually James Harden when he was a sixth man coming off the bench for OKC, which he was really deadly as well, coming off the bench. Deadly scorer along with KD being lethal as well. But Russ has always been a pretty good scorer himself, even without a jump shot, because he's found ways to, get to the basket. And he was so explosive, more so back in the day, even than what he is now. But even now, he still has a lot of explosion left. He just can't do it every single night, constantly in the starting lineup and drop 30, 40 points, or at least I don't believe he can. But I mean, I believe he has a lot left this year. For the Clippers, he's averaging like 11, 6 and 5 assists a game. That's very good coming off the bench. That's production. That's huge production for the Clippers, especially, a guy who brings energy on both ends of the floor, who never cheats you any game you go to, because Russ is actually going to give you everything he got. And his availability has always been one of his best abilities. He's had some knee injuries and things like that, but he's actually overcome a lot of his knee injuries and things like that. And I think we have to give him flowers, because when we think about other players, like for one of my players that used to be one of my favorites back in the day was Derrick Rose. Him and Derrick Rose were like comparable back in the day. Derrick Rose had just the same amount of knee injuries as he's had. But, I really truly think that Russell Westbrook is wired a little bit different. I feel like Russ can tear his knee and come back and just jump and go up for a dunk and don't even care. Whereas somebody like Derrick Rose, he's a little bit more sensitive to things, I guess, to where when he messed his knee up a few times, he just stopped jumping completely because he was too mentally scared to do it. Whereas somebody like Russ, he's not scared to do anything. Russ is like, he seems like the type of guy who has a high tolerance for pain. And if you're that type of person, well, nothing's going to affect your mindset from being who you were prior to the injury. And that's what, and that's very... That's huge. And those are the type of guys that I like, to kind of just keep it moving and don't let the negativity and the doubt creep in too much. You know what I'm saying? It can creep in, but you got to let it go. And I really appreciate guys like that, because, you've been seeing Russ jump, dunk, and do crazy things and just, explode to the basket, kind of like you see him do now back in his younger days. He still does it somewhat now, and he still plays the same. And I really appreciate that about his game. And I'm pretty sure everybody on the Clippers appreciates him even more, because watching him from a distance on other teams may be one thing, but I think his teammates, the ones on the Clippers who never played with him before, really appreciate who he is being a teammate of his, because they see how hard he works. They see the work ethic. They see, the energy out there on the floor. They see a guy who's hungry, and they see a guy who won't back down from any challenge. And that's the one thing I love about Russell Westbrook. And it's not many players in the league wired like him. You see what I'm saying? If everybody in the league had his mentality in that type of way, well, the NBA probably would be the number one sport in the world rather than the NFL. You see what I'm saying? So definitely got to give Russ his flowers on that. And Russ is just going to keep going, He sacrificed a lot for this team, and he really wants to win, and that's the one thing I knocked on about Russ years ago, about his winning intangibles. You see what I'm saying? And even, prior, when he first got to the Clippers, I was questioning his winning intangibles, but I don't really think it's questionable anymore, because the sacrifices he's made for this team, and the role that he's in, he seems content and happy with it. He is totally fine with it. He is not, being a disruption in the locker room. He is not doing any of those things. He is being the player that they need him to be in order for them to win, based upon or pending upon everybody's health. And you just got to give Russ a lot of credit for being available all these years, mainly and mostly through some knee injuries and through some scrutiny and things like that. He's still here. And for his career, Russ averaged 22 points a game for his career. Like that's big numbers. That's huge. You know what I'm saying? That's huge, so if Russ can continue about a few more years, he might slide maybe close to that 20 spot, in scoring all time. Now, Russ is already a Hall of Famer, so there's really no issues there. First ballot Hall of Famer, if you ask me. But my point is this, with him sliding up close to that 20 range in scoring of all time, and if they get a championship with the Clippers, I mean, that would really, put him over the top even more. And that's something I would like to see actually happen, if possible, because they really have a good chance this year with Kawhi, playing the way he's playing. He's playing like a man possessed, a Terminator 3.0. His data has been rebooted or something like that. Kawhi looks very, 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 very good. James Harden looks good. He looks happy. Paul George looks like he's, in the mix still of being able to, do big things at times and still provide the consistent scoring that he usually does. But this team overall, I mean, like I said, they're a juggernaut. They're a team that nobody really wants to see in a 7-game series if they're healthy. And I'm pretty sure nobody's praying on their downfall or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure if one of them or two of them got hurt on the Clippers, other teams would look at it as a sigh of relief, because this team is definitely deadly. The team is definitely motivated, and Ty Lue has got them motivated as well. And I just hope that, Russ keeps it going and keeps giving them the energy that he's giving them, because I think it's helping them in the long run. And I think overall, totality wise, this team could really, really make a run for a championship.